we look at landscape in a series of zones, and we go from zone 1, which is an inner zone closest to the centre of energy, which is usually the house or the main human activity. This is an area that has most visits, most use, and has the most density of elements. And here there are special elements, things that are of great value, but take great care of management. Zone 2 is the next zone out, and immediately is larger, and zone 2 is actually a broader zone where there are less elements and the maintenance is a little bit more vague. So out in zone 2 we have our food forests, we have our forage crops where we may grow crops for animals to provide their food, our broadacre crops where we grow our main carbohydrate foods or our main foods. So our main crop gardens, not the kitchen garden, but the broader main crop garden, zone 2. And in some climates, colder climates, our firewood may be produced there, a woodlot. When we go out again, we move into zone 3, which is a much broader zone. Here you have the larger farm type systems of land use where we have grazing animals, we have large windbreak systems, the water bodies will be larger here if we have dams or swales. The mulch systems out there are very rough, so we're dealing with rough mulches, we're dealing with large branches and sticks and logs. We've got animals and broader tree systems. And some of our very large main crops on large acreage may also be out in zone 3, and if we have a great demand for firewood, that also might be out in zone 3. So this is the broad area. When we move out to zone 4 is farm forestry, whatever type of forestry that may be. And there are many types of forestry, not just for timber, but for poles, for craft, for bee forage, for animal systems where animals gather from the fallen products of the forest, fungi forest, a multiple variation of forest, but zone 4 is forestry of some type, and that's a simplified choice and a much larger system in potential. Then we go out to zone 5. Zone 5 is the wilderness. Zone 5 is the wild system, the natural system, and there's very little that we do in zone 5, although we can sustainably gather and we can sustainably hunt. There are 2 other elements that come into this: slope and orientation will change the shape and form of the zonation pattern. Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4, they'll all change in relation to how steep the land is and which way it faces, whether it faces the sun or the shade or the west or the east. So appropriate placement in relation to the energy needed to work that zone will change the shape of that zone. And the human element, the element that works the land or the element that interacts with the land, will also change the size and shape of zones. So if we have a steep slope near the house or the centre of energy on the property, it will jump quickly into one of the outer zones because of the energy needed to work on a steep slope. Zones are never exactly repeated in form and size ratios, but they are appropriately placed in relation to the land itself and the human use. It's an energy efficient planning from the inside out. So when we're planning zones and the placement of elements in zones, we actually look for an analysis process where we say, how many visits per year are we going to make to that element? That'll give us an idea of where it fits in a zone. And then which elements fit together so that they interact together, and we can get multi-purpose interactions on the same stacked job energy pathway. We're starting to put elements together in relationship to each other within their numbers of energy requirements per year, their number of visits. So it's a very energy efficient planning system. Sector analysis is how we observe the energies on the site of any design, and we look at the energies that actually flow through a site. These can be the winter sun angles, sunrise, sunset and midday, the summer sun angles, again sunrise, sunset, midday, the prevailing winds, the good views, the bad views, the noise or the dust winds that we might want to block, the flood and frost that we might want for purposes or not, the cold winter wind. All of these things are potential energies which are on any one site. These, by design, change the zones, reduce the stress on the site, therefore enhancing the system and the life on the of the system. Create microclimate can be identified in many different ways through things like observation of wind shear on trees to get us the prevailing winds. We also will need to find records and information and local knowledge. It's very simple. The choices are yes, we want that energy and we invite it into the site and encourage it, or no, we don't want that energy, it's not beneficial to us and we want to block it. All of this will be a great advantage to our design process and the result of our design. So the sector energy map fits over the top of our zone map and changes the form of the zone map and starts to give us a pattern in design. This is what creates the beneficial microclimate creation and stress reduction of a site. It's an integral interaction between the two elements: sector energies and energy efficiency of zone planning. Well, here we are visiting a classic Zone 1 garden that's well established, very energy efficient. We're just a few metres from the house and we've got food production everywhere. We've got very functional footpaths that are all controlled by beneficial ground covers. We've got mulch production in surplus, all different types, high mineral comfrey that can be added to gardens. There's animal systems around us that we can add manure. This is really classic Zone 1. Into the Zone 1 scape, we're literally going through an envelope of passion fruit and food through a trellis in a real home situation. We have small footpaths surrounded by food, edible Brazilian spinach, strawberries, papaya, turmeric, ginger, edible edges and clumping plants, herbs that can be picked. This is a foodscape, but it's also quite ornamental. We go on through zones within zones. There's cardamom right here. There's choco above us. We're next to a pizza oven. Functional structure. There's seedlings being grown on a table. In here we have small ponds, ornamental plants, more passion fruit. Passion fruit and choco above us. And the framed scene, the window that we look out on, is this green productive foodscape. This is Zone 1. It's literally controlled by the density and diversity of planets. This is the urban habitat of sustainable humanity. This we have to understand. This